These are the 15 most dangerous restaurants of the past that luckily doesn't exist anymore. And for number 15, pay attention to Sambo's. This was a big American restaurant chain started around in 1950s, and by 1970 it was as big as McDonald's, but still it could not survive because of allegedly being racist. This diner chain faced controversy over its name, which was a derogatory slang term for African Americans. People started to cancel this restaurant, and after not being able to survive, in October of 1982, they agreed to sell 48 of Sambo's restaurants to Denny's. They were lucky enough to be able to sell their restaurant, but the next one wasn't that lucky. The Grease Pit Diner. Known for its 24-hour greasy spoon fare, the diner was a popular haunt for late-night workers. They probably would be as big as giant like McDonald's and Subway sandwiches. However, persistent complaints about food poisoning led to multiple health code violations. And it all gone way too far after a particularly severe outbreak because of their undercooked meat, and sadly, they didn't got any chances to recover their reputation. It resulted in the diner's closure. They only lost reputation, but because of the next one, many even lost their lives. Jack in the Box. The fast food chain was involved in a major food safety scandal in 1993 when undercooked hamburgers led to an E. coli outbreak. This incident resulted in 4 deaths and hundreds of illnesses across multiple states. The outbreak prompted significant changes in food safety regulations and practices within the fast food industry. And after this incident, people started breaking their outlets, but still they continued their business, and the annual sales started to increase through the 1980s, and they barely survived. But the next restaurant couldn't even survive, and also their incident raised awareness about the food safety in 1970s. Trini and Carmen's. In 1977, this Mexican restaurant in Pontiac, Michigan, was linked to one of the largest botulism outbreaks in U.S. history. The source was traced to hot sauce made from improperly canned jalapeno peppers, resulting in 58 illnesses. Although there were no reported deaths, the incident led to the restaurant's closure and raised awareness about food safety practices. Reunion Towers 560. In past, an employee at the revolving restaurant 560 by Wolfgang Puck in Dallas suffered a severe injury when their leg became trapped in the rotating floor's machinery. The incident occurred while the employee was trying to retrieve a customer's credit card that had fallen through a crack in the floor. The employee later sued the restaurant for the injury, which highlighted safety concerns associated with revolving dining establishments. They sadly closed after a long time trying to survive, but the next one makes us think about the unpredictable and sometimes dangerous situations that can arise in fast food settings. Wendy's. In past, a food safety scandal involving the fast food chain led to a major decline in sales after a woman falsely claimed to have found a severed finger in her chili at a California location. The incident was later revealed to be a hoax, but it had a lasting impact on the brand's reputation and led to significant financial losses. McDonald's hot coffee. The year was 1992. Stella Liebeck, a seemingly ordinary 79-year-old woman, was about to become a household name, albeit for a rather unfortunate reason. While a passenger in her grandson's car, Liebeck purchased a cup of coffee from McDonald's drive-thru. As she attempted to add cream and sugar, the cup tipped, spilling its contents onto her lap. The result was catastrophic. Third-degree burns requiring extensive medical treatment, including skin grafts. Liebeck's initial claim was modest, $10,000 to cover medical expenses. However, the case took a dramatic turn when the jury awarded her $2.86 million in punitive damages. Public outcry was swift and severe, with many accusing Liebeck of a frivolous lawsuit and labeling her the epitome of frivolous litigation. However, the facts of the case painted a different picture. McDonald's coffee was served at temperatures far exceeding the industry standard for home coffee brewing, hot enough to cause third-degree burns in seconds. Internal documents revealed that the company had received over 700 complaints of burns from its coffee, including cases of severe injury. Despite this, McDonald's refused to lower the coffee temperature, prioritizing taste over safety. The case sparked a nationwide debate about corporate responsibility and product liability. While the punitive damages were eventually reduced, the case served as a wake-up call for corporations, highlighting the importance of consumer safety and the potential consequences of negligence. The Battle of the Patsies. The world of Italian cuisine is a competitive one, as evidenced by the protracted legal battle between Patsy's Pizzeria and Patsy's Italian Restaurant. Established in Harlem in 1933, Patsy's Pizzeria had built a strong reputation for its classic New York-style pizza. However, in 1990, a family dispute erupted when Patsy Grimaldi, a nephew of the pizzeria's owner, attempted to open a competing establishment in Brooklyn under the same name. The original Patsy's Pizzeria successfully blocked this move, preserving its brand identity. The legal troubles didn't end there. In the early 2000s, Patsy's Pizzeria found itself embroiled in another lawsuit, this time with Patsy's Italian Restaurant, a popular pasta joint. The restaurant accused the pizzeria of trademark infringement for selling red sauce jars labeled Patsy's Restaurant, with a similar logo. A court ruling sided with the restaurant, barring the sale of the sauce. The saga continued in 2006, when a new Patsy's was set to open in Staten Island. Claiming to have purchased the name rights from the original pizzeria, the Staten Island location faced opposition from Patsy's Italian Restaurant. The legal battle ended with a compromise. The Staten Island restaurant could open as Patsy's, but was required to remove an Italian motto from its awning. These legal clashes underscore the fierce competition within the restaurant industry and the lengths to which businesses will go to protect their brand identity and customer base. The Ray's Pizza Empire. The name Ray's has become synonymous with New York-style pizza, but the origins of this moniker are far from clear. The story involves a complex web of relationships, business deals, and legal disputes. It all began with Ralph Cuomo, who opened the first Ray's Pizzeria. Subsequently, he opened a second location, which he later sold to Rossellino Mangano. Mangano proved to be a shrewd businessman, expanding the Ray's empire to a dozen locations under the name Famous Original Ray's. One of Mangano's franchisees, Gary Esposito, further expanded the brand by opening 5 additional locations under the name Original Ray's. As the number of Ray's pizzerias proliferated, tensions between the various owners began to mount. To consolidate their position, Cuomo, Mangano, and Esposito formed a company and registered a federal trademark for the name Ray's. This aggressive move led to legal battles with other pizza establishments using the Ray's name, most notably Joseph Barry's Ray Barry Pizza chain. Ultimately, Barry agreed to drop his claim to the Ray's name, bringing an end to one chapter of the Ray's Pizza saga. The story serves as a cautionary tale about the challenges of protecting brand identity and the potential pitfalls of rapid expansion. The Pearl Oyster Bar Case. The restaurant industry is not just about food, it's also about atmosphere, presentation, and overall dining experience. The case of Pearl Oyster Bar versus Ed McFarland highlights the importance of protecting these intangible assets. Rebecca Charles, the owner of Pearl Oyster Bar, accused her former sous chef, Ed McFarland, of outright copying her restaurant's concept. McFarland was alleged to have stolen not only the menu, but also the presentation style, decor, and even staff and suppliers. McFarland countered these claims by arguing that the dishes in question were traditional seafood items and therefore not subject to copyright protection. However, Charles maintained that it was the overall ambiance and execution of the dishes that constituted her intellectual property. The case eventually settled out of court, preventing a definitive ruling on the legal issues involved. Nonetheless, the case raised important questions about the extent to which a restaurant can protect its unique identity and whether culinary creations can be considered intellectual property. These cases offer a glimpse into the often overlooked legal battles that shape the restaurant industry. From trademark disputes to accusations of intellectual property theft, restaurants must navigate a complex legal landscape to protect their brands and ensure their survival. The Old Country Buffet. Back in its golden day in the early 2000s, Old Country Buffet had hundreds of restaurants across America. Then, the 2008 financial crisis happened, and the chain filed for its first bankruptcy. Over the course of the next decade, Old Country Buffet would file for bankruptcy 2 more times and weather a 4-year legal battle with a customer who experienced symptoms of salmonella poisoning after eating at a location in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Now there are just 18 Old Country Buffet locations remaining. Rainforest Cafe. As far as 90s relics go, Rainforest Cafe is especially notable for how little it seems to have changed with time. The jungle-themed, animatronic-filled theme restaurant has struggled since the early 2000s, attempting an international expansion that mostly didn't stick and maxing out at 32 domestic restaurants. Now, there are only 19 US locations left, according to the chain's website. Steak 'n Shake. Founded in 1934 in Normal, Illinois, Steak 'n Shake was originally a counter-service spot for fresh ground burgers. Over the course of the 20th century, the hamburger stand became a sit-down casual restaurant chain. Then in 2012, the chain switched back to a quick-service focus and pushed into franchising. But despite its best efforts, the chain has spent the last 3 years in the red, according to QSR magazine. Now, 103 Steak 'n Shakes have temporarily closed across the country. Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood has been trying to climb its way back to the top since the 1990s, when an ambitious expansion plan resulted in an infamous bust. But the last decade hasn't been kind to theme restaurants, and Planet Hollywood is no exception. Now, with just 6 restaurant locations in the world, the struggling brand is trying to reinvent itself as a luxury resort chain. Bob Evans. Founded in 1948 by, you guessed it, Bob Evans. Bob Evans is a farmhouse-themed Midwestern chain, much like Cracker Barrel. Attempts to get in on delivery and retail weren't enough to mitigate food poisoning scandals and lawsuits throughout the last decade. After closing 27 restaurants in 2016, Bob Evans's parent company sold the chain to private equity group Golden Gate Capital to focus on frozen grocery goods. The restaurant industry is a dynamic and unforgiving landscape. From economic downturns to changing consumer preferences, the challenges are many. The stories of these restaurants serve as tales, highlighting the importance of adaptability, resilience, and a deep understanding of the market. While these establishments may have met untimely ends, their legacies continue to shape the industry. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if yes, then please subscribe to our video and like this channel. Sorry, I made a mistake in this script. Anyway, thank you for watching.